Video game bang, video game bang, video game bang. Video game. Mega brand. Live from the sack, it's the livest. In fact, I'm putting rhymes on this track to put my guys on the map. Cause they giving you the latest on everything on your playlist. This bet the safest, from basements to greatness. Updates, geek news, tech talk, and reviews. They can summarize it so you ain't gotta breeze through. Listen once and you're forever fans. And I'm not saying it because their theme song features Mega Ram. Might think you fly, but ain't nice as my guys. Got eyes on the prize, so like and subscribe. We back in the booth. I think that they gon' eat this up. The ultimate source of all geek media. Other podcasts, they just don't match up. Need proof? You can check the archives and catch up. Stats off the chain, we have rearranged the game. It'll never be the same. Now it's time to feel the
bang. What is up, my pizzas? Cory Vincent here, video game bang, and we have a doozy for you this week. We have special guest on special guest. So I'm going to start with my main compadre. I had to try and, if you're watching us live on twitch.tv, you can see he's got the vibe going on. Are the Kings doing good or something? Because you got the purple Kings jersey on, the purple lights all in the background. What's going on, Skip?
I mean, nah, not really, but I mean, we won 2 in a row, so you know, like, what do you do, Basil? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we
like,
take those.
Not really, bro.
We take those.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We take those, but we ain't gonna take those for too long because the Kings don't get those for too long. So, but for tonight, I'll wave my purple flag. All right.
I'm down. Also joining us on the show, he's a good friend, also Sacramento video game legend, icon, I would say at this point. Like, Sacramento scene has had some, had some big names come through, but none larger than Jay, the FGC Gist. What's going on, man? How you been?
Well, what's up, everybody? I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
Good. I'm so excited to have you back because we're going to be talking about, of course, the big EVO news that happened this week. We're going to be talking about Blizzard news too, which you're president of the Shock fan club, and you just do it all, man. And you just got a new gig too. Can you talk about that, or you keeping that under wraps?
No, we can talk about it. I made the announcement. So I am working for a company called the Key.company, and what they do is create custom mechanical keyboards, keycaps, and key switches. So I'm going to be helping them out as an account manager. Also, I'm going to be working on ways to bring the brand into the esports scene, trying to hit up all the different communities. So super excited about that.
They went to the right guy because everybody and everything, so it's super smart pickup from them. I'm excited, man. You really worked your ass off to get that spot too. It started kind of super grassroots where you just started dropping those keycap renders you were making, and then it picked up some traction, because you got some friends who run some social media channels for some very powerful esports organizations, and he was able to get you going. And basically, I'm taking credit for all your success, Jay. So you're welcome.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, but you're crushing, dude. The Key Company is awesome. They did a sweet collab with Liquid already, and people want it. Like, it's maybe it's because of COVID or something, but people are paying more attention to their hardware, taking more care in their peripherals, and you want to dress them up for whatever you like. It's an extension of your personality. So
yeah, for sure.
Good job, man. I'm really proud of you. And then also joining him, I'm very proud of this guy too, because he is his star has grown massively since he left here. I remember the last time he was on, we had a big argument. I said, "You'll never be seen on anywhere again." He spit in my face. It was, but look,
it's true.
But then he became a big star. You're helping out some very popular YouTubers named the New Rockstars. He is a podcast legend in Sacramento. We're all just legends. We're all just podcasts.
We're all legends.
Tell us about that.
Legends.
How did that come about, man? Because that's big. That's huge. That's a really huge YouTube channel, and they picked you up. And so, what are you doing with them? And how'd you get the spot?
So the opportunity came about because of a mutual friend that you and I have, Cory, and just the opportunity came about to just talk about kind of the shit that we talk about here. just really shooting the shit and talking about Marvel, talking about DC, talking about stuff. And I went on the show, did a quick interview, did a quick, kind of interrogation, if you will, about what I know and the information that I have. And ultimately came onto the show. They liked it. We were like, all right, cool. If you need me for a second time, let me know. They said, all right, we'll put you on for a second time. Came on for a second time. And I'm like, hey, I really like doing this. You want me to come back again? They're like, yeah, we want you to come back again. So yeah, one thing led to another. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm actually, you'll probably catch me on Thursday's episode of Rogue Theory on New Rockstars this week coming up. So
gotta watch that one. Support the boy. Those are big views, man. Tons of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a huge opportunity. Nice to see, you represent throwing down, doing your Filmlospher thing on the big stage, because you've been doing it and working at it for a long time, so it's not like this stuff happens overnight. People don't just, hop on the microphone for the first time. You've put in hours and hours. And how many shows you on the Filmlospher right now?
We're on 200 and close to 260 episodes.
God damn. I remember talking to you about the 10 episode slump where, 90% of shows don't make it past, episode 9, and you really went crazy with it. So nice.
I use that same statistic for every other podcast. Every other person that comes through and asks about a podcast, I'm like, hey, over 75% of people don't make it past episode 9. So this is the mark you got to make. And majority of the people that I talk to, they don't make it past episode 9. So I'm like, hey, it didn't have what it had.
I know, because people want direct results. There's no such thing in anything you do. You're not just going to become the best or get, there's that virality you see, on TV, that everyone just wants that. But that's a very, very small percentage of people that get that opportunity. Everyone else you see worked at it for a long time, years, honing their craft. And there's no such thing as overnight success.
It's crazy. I was producing a pod. What's up?
Go for it, Eddie. You got it.
Oh, no, I was going to say I was producing a podcast for some folks that I know, and I told them the exact same thing, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll make it past episode 9. We got this. We got this." And by episode 5, they were already striving for things that I'm like, "Hey, focus on these goals here." And by the time they got to episode 7, they were gone. I'm like, "Hey, it happens."
It's a bummer, man. It's the way of the world. But the first news story I want to talk to was a follow-up story, because the NBA 2K draft just happened recently, right? After the last episode. How was the Kingsguard looking, Skip?
Good. We picked up a player named Majestic, who I believe I got to double check what squad he was on last year. I believe he was on the Orlando Magic last year. I'll double check. But we picked up Majestic and then Cory Jr. Cory Jr. I'm not as familiar with, but people were excited to pick him up, so that was pretty cool. Overall, we kept the core intact, so we still got Yusuf, my main man Yusuf, first team all defense 2 seasons ago. He led the league in 3-point shooting percentage.
Damn.
It was first team all defense that season as well. We still got the homie Simo, my man Wasim. So it was nice because we could only keep 3, so we ended up having to cut Seam, and then we were able to bring him back. So that was nice. We got Crushy, who was a number 3 pick last year. He's a demon on defense. I mean, I'm a demon on defense, and I'm scared of that guy. All right,
Okay.
So that should let you know how serious Wasim is. I mean, as Crushy is. And then we ended up trading. Man, this one hurt, and this one was tough. But we ended up trading that boy Shots, who was our power forward last year, who we had gotten a trade. Awesome guy. His dad plays 2K, so his dad would always be up in the chat and on Twitter. We call him Papa Shots. So it was that boy Shots and Papa Shots, which ironically enough, they just started a podcast, Pops and Shots. So I guess let's see if they make it past episode 10. That's how y'all. I was noticing something. I'm like, y'all like, oh yeah, 75%. I'm like, that's how y'all ain't got no competition. You discourage everybody who wants to start a podcast. They don't even look. He guilty. You see how? That's what we do. Discourage people who want to start a podcast. VGB is number 1. I ain't mad at you. I just didn't know that's what we were doing to win the game. But anyway, so they got their podcast going, and then we had to trade. We had to trade my boy Bash, who came in, high draft pick, lit it up. We traded the number 1 point guard in the league, so to speak, in BP, who is so popular that there is a player that you make for my career, and they call it the BP build. We traded him to Atlanta and then got picks, got Bash, and then we ended up having to trade Bash. Well, I mean, like his family remembered me from being in the chat in the games. Like they'd be like, "Skip, what's up?" They follow me back on Twitter. It was really a family affair, and we ended up trading him to Orlando, but to Portland, but we traded him to Portland for the best, most efficient, and most effective point guard in the league. Mama, I'm that man, and Mama, I'm that man, and Crushy are best friends. So I can't as far as I'm concerned, we're taking the chip this year. We got Mama, I'm that man. Mama, I'm that man. Got people that play lockdown defense and can score the ball. It's looking really good for the Kingsguard. Looking better for the Kingsguard than the Kings.
How does that work? So is there just a GM that's pulling all these levers, or who's really making all the decisions in the front office of the Kingsguard?
Oh man, you already know. You work for an esports league. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got guys in that position. The title might be different. It is GM in this league because the NBA 2K league is obviously modeled after the NBA, and that is where they get the influx of cash from in order to sustain and maintain and be able to play a livable salary for a game that seems to have disdain and despises the people that that they have bought and give them money.
Yeah. Well, that's every year though.
Now. Exactly. Jay gets set. There you go. Jay gets set it. So that's every year. So we know how 2K, or 2K Interactive gets down, or Take-Two Interactive gets down. But as far as the league itself, it is sustained because the NBA does provide, cash to support it. So with that, you get your GMs, you got your front office model, and then so on and so forth.
That's awesome. Well, things are looking good for the Kingsguard. Obviously, the hometown team, so we support them. VGB is an official supporter of the Kingsguard. I wear my hat just because it's the coolest hat I probably own is that Kingsguard hat. Let's move on to some awesome news. Maybe. I don't know. This seems good. The Verge reported that Sony is now part owner of EVO, which is, of course, the most prestigious of fighting game tournaments every year. Sony and RTS, a new venture from Endeavor's esports business, have acquired the prestigious EVO fighting game tournament through a joint venture esports partnership. Fighting games have always been a vital part of Sony PlayStation's legacy and for our community since the very beginning, and we're thrilled to partner with EVO over the years. So this was a big one because we got, two active members of the FGC, I'd call them. Jay, was this a big surprise to you? And is this ultimately a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, it's a really big surprise. I mean, this is a event that was created, for the grassroots community, ran by the grassroots community. As soon as this announcement came out, I kind of really freaked out. I didn't really know what to think about it. I mean, I thought of a lot of good things, but I thought of a lot of bad things. One of the things, I started reading more into it. One of the sentences in the SIE blog, it says EVO co-founders Tom and Tony Cannon will remain closely involved in an advisory role to ensure that EVO continues to service the fighting game community and support its vibrant growth. So what I like about that is that the people that have started EVO, they still wanted to see it grow. They still want to be able to put their hands on it, make sure it's still deeply rooted in the community, and I think that's amazing. I mean, usually we'll see a large company or investment firm, take over a brand, and then it's told that it's not the same. Who's to say it will be the same? Who's to say it will be different? I know it's really interesting, and we'll just need to see how it grows in the future with EVO Online this year, and then going into EVO 2022 next year.
Yeah, Skip, I think I saw a tweet from you expressing some potential concerns about the fate of the game that's near and dear to your heart, Super Smash Brethren. What do you think? Are we ever going to see Smash back at EVO?
As good as I think this is for the fighting game community overall, especially to get some real and serious support behind it, coming from a part of the fighting game community where the developer treats that community like a redheaded stepchild, and even when it treats it like a brunette-headed stepchild, it still only teaches like a stepchild, not just a child. So for me, man, happy for the fighting game community as a whole, but for Super Smash Brothers, I mean, I don't see that coming back. Now the direct rival, or one of the direct rivals of Nintendo, is now the owner of that event, and it was trouble enough, I mean, to get Smash into events, going back to Melee, where a freaking cease and desist got slapped on Smash to where they weren't gonna be able to stream the game, and they had to do like a cancer drive to gain funds, and then in the 11th hour, Nintendo lift that cease and desist so it could be streamed. So I mean, if you take that into account, and then now it's owned by one of their rivals, I mean, rip.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that. Since it is owned by PlayStation now. Yeah. Again, one of my original thoughts coming into it was, oh, now everything is going to be run by PlayStation. If it's not a game that's supported by Sony, it's not going to be an EVO. But that there is a couple takeaways from that. One, Mark Mann, who is one of the core staff over at EVO. One of the key things that they want to push is that all gaming platforms are still welcome at EVO. Like for instance, EVO Online this year, they're going to be doing Street Fighter V Champion Edition. They're going to be doing Tekken 7. They're going to be doing the new Guilty Gear Strive, and also Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. For Tekken 7, that game is going to be run on PC only for that tournament, instead of PlayStation. So, and then also for Street Fighter V, they are letting PC and PlayStation players both compete. So again, this is something that Sony being one of the head names of this type of event now, but it's still being supported as welcoming for all games, all platforms. So again, this leaves it right there for Nintendo. How are they going to respond? What do they want to do? Do they want to support it? Do they want to support their own thing? I don't even think they want to support. They don't even want to support their own game right now. So I mean, it's really up to them.
I mean, I feel like the cross announcement with PC doesn't really matter a whole lot. I don't think PlayStation and PC feel like they're at as big of odds as they are with like the Xbox or Nintendo. So it'll be interesting to see, because they're straight up promoting another direct competitor at that point, across their channels even. So I don't see people watching a Killer Instinct tournament on, PlayStation's Twitch stream or something, unless, they really hammer out some weird broadcast deal. But from a business, it doesn't make sense to let the competitors in. There was a statement actually already from Nintendo when asked about EVO and the future of Super Smash Brothers Esports. They said, "What is EVO?" They had no idea what it was because they don't care about their esport.
Wow, add some like high celebrity like cheese me.
I'm sure they said something about it, but I don't know.
That's like folks asking Mariah Carey, "Who's Jennifer Lopez?" Who's
Actually,
Jennifer Lopez?
I have something here from Newsweek. Nintendo did respond. They said Nintendo has enjoyed engaging with fans at past EVO tournaments and wish to show organizers the best with their new venture. We will continue to assess EVO and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Super Smash Bros. Tournament activity.
Woo!
Pretty much saying EVO's going to do what they do and Nintendo's going to do what Nintendo does.
You mean Nintendon't?
Nintendo.
What
Exactly.
Nintendo? We'll be tracking this one through time, though. I mean, it'll be good. It'll be good. We'll see what happens. But I think this, even if it does take away some of those other platforms, it just leaves room for someone else, the next big one, to come up.
Yep.
I think it's a kind of a beautiful thing. I don't agree with the people who say like, "Oh man, it was grassroots, now it's gone corporate." Well, that's what a successful business does, and successful people do. And if the spirit of that thing, still exists, and you get the purest competition, and competitors are paid well, like everybody's happy, we all win.
Well, and that's not to say either well with other organizations who are going to replicate EVO's system and then acquiesce to Nintendo's requirements and things like that, and then make way to be a true competitor for things like EVO.
Yeah, straight up. Straight up. In not so happy news, it came out that Activision Blizzard on Tuesday laid off about 50 people across various divisions dealing predominantly with live events and esports as part of a restructuring. It seems like Blizzard does this once a year.
Yeah.
At least.
At least.
It's like a big surprise. Oh my God, Blizzard just fired everybody. But then they'll do an earnings report.
And yet tons of people go run back to Blizzard for another job, and they're like, "Oh, more shit for the fodder."
That's why they do it. I think it's a culling because everybody wants to work for Blizzard, you know. But beyond that, they just let a whole bunch of people go, and then in their earnings reports, they always report massive earnings. So I think it's just this is what Blizzard does. This is what did you think when you heard this, Jay? Because you're a big fan of the Overwatch League, and so this affects us directly.
Yeah, I know. As a fan of the Overwatch League, I'm absolutely devastated. The biggest draw for the league originally was local games, being able to have a team that you can go and root and support. I mean, I've talked to you millions of times. We want to be able to have a section where all the fans can get together and scream louder than everyone else. And we were going to have it. Unfortunately, COVID happened. But now it's like what Blizzard's like. We don't need to do this anymore. And on top of that, this isn't just Overwatch League. This is CDL.
Yeah.
And so you're telling Call of Duty fans, I mean, they scream at the top of their lungs that online games don't count. And the LAN is where it's at. And now they're telling Call of Duty fans, hey, guess what? You guys don't get LANs anymore. I don't know. It's a big slap in the face.
I think it's hard because of how COVID went down and the popularity of the games and streams in general is tough because, they did move to YouTube gaming, and I feel like the viewership did take a hit, perceived anyways, like who knows, but the numbers that you see on the screen dropped when they moved from Twitch to YouTube. So there's at least the appearance that they're not doing so well. So that's not, a huge vote of confidence to say like, hey, we're going to have 85 home games, and have all these plans like original. But, I really hope, and I don't know, so I have no, foresight onto this, but I really hope this doesn't mean we're not, and I don't think it means we're not having events in person eventually, but it just might not be to the scale at once they thought it was, because they really wanted like every game to be a home game, and then they kind of went back on it, and with the homestand model that they started, So I think they'll get there and they'll rehire, just like Eddie was saying. It's Blizzard, and all they have to do is snap their fingers and say, all right, we'll hire 25 new people, to get this thing back up.
And especially in this day and age with everything being virtual and remote, like shit, all you have to do is just like snap your fingers, and people from all over the country are going to send their applications into Blizzard. Everybody wants to work for Blizzard.
Yeah. They said in a little statement here, players are increasingly choosing to connect with games digitally, and the eSport team, much like traditional sports entertainment and broadcasting industries, has had to adapt business due to the impact of the pandemic, has had only on live events. Activision Blizzard also said that, this was kind of funny. I was going through this news article, and I was reading kind of what the severance package was, because, Blizzard's a big company, like we said. They're not just going to send everybody out on the street with no pay. So their severance package is health benefits for the next 12 months.
That's good.
Yeah. No, it's actually nice. Laid off employees get 3 months of their pay, health benefits for the next 12 months. And if that wasn't enough, they give you a $200 gift card to spend at the Activision Blizzard Battle.net store.
There you go.
Because when you're unemployed,
can't cut it. Let's eat some of them back.
You're unemployed, you have nothing better to do than play their video games, I guess.
There you go.
I thought that was weird.
The Blizzard Arcade Classics.
That's really worth it, though. That's actually worth it. I when I saw that, I was like, what? $200 in severance? That's weird. And then I go to the updates at the very bottom, and the next day, they had to make an update to the article because it said added information regarding the $200 Battle.net gift card as part of the laid off employee benefits.
There was enough people saying like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this article is shitty article. Forgot to mention the $200 gift card. Let them know.
God damn it.
No, they
We're
had
gamers. We need that shit.
Or maybe it was a Blizzard PR person and it was like, hey, you think that was good? They forgot to mention the $200 gift card. But yeah,
There
it
you
looks
go.
good. It's going to be tough. We'll see. We'll navigate the waters and report more, I'm sure, in the future. But I don't think it means no live events at all. But I think it'll be reserved to like probably majors and, tournaments and things like that. All right.
Well, and honestly, if the Oscars going to be able to do their whole situation live and whatever, I think that's kind of just to kind of step out real quick and talk about my domain. With the Oscars, they're doing everything in person. There's no virtual format for that. So if they're going to be able to do that, I think that's going to kind of set the standard for every other live in-person event for any platform, whether if it's gaming, news, anything like that.
Yeah. Well, when is the Oscars?
I think that's in the next month.
Okay. Well, by then, all those people also probably had their vaccines too.
I don't know. You never know.
Hollywood, man.
These are some hippie actors here. They're like, oh, I don't believe in the vaccine. I'm going to inject myself with some lavender and some cocoa oil, and I'll be good to go.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And then we got to talk about this because, we spent a good chunk of this show talking about WandaVision because it was so captivating, amazing. Obviously, Disney is just going to have us all eating out of the palm of their hands for the foreseeable future because they dropped their next series. They gave us a 1-week break to remember who our family members are and get our taxes done,
Come out of hiding like, oh shit, this is the sun.
Yeah, we all got to see the sun for a minute, and then we go right back to the new show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let's just go around, man. I know, Skip, you put out a tweet. I keep referencing tweets, but it's you on record saying this thing. So damn it, I'm going to report the news. And you said Falcon is a badass. So I take it you like the show.
Yeah, it was incredible. I actually liked episode number 1 more than I liked episode number 1 of WandaVision, and I really, really, really liked episode number 1 of WandaVision. They finally we get a little bit more focused, concentrated time on Sam Wilson. So naturally, with that, it reveals more of his character and who he is. The show starts off with him, so there's obviously that highlight on him. So just straight up, like, he's that guy,
Yeah.
That intro sequence, that action sequence was... I loved WandaVision, don't get me wrong. But when they got into the really actiony sequences, it did feel like a TV show. Like, it didn't seem like it had that full in theater. Like, I mean, I know we're not watching it in a theater, but, when you watch the Marvel movies, the production quality is just unreal. It never looks fake or like CGI, it feels like. But I feel like a few times in WandaVision, I got hit with like, it just doesn't look quite the caliber of the MCU full feature films. That sequence at the beginning of this movie or the show felt like a legit, I was watching a Marvel movie in the theater.
You felt like you could have been at the theater watching that, no problem.
Yeah.
It looked so good, and it was they just threw us right into it. And George St. Pierre was back. That's like his thing in the MCU. Balrog, what is he? Balrog the Leaper is his name?
Rock.
Yeah, Batroc.
Batroc. Dude, that guy, his whole thing is just getting beat up in the intro sequence of badass movies. Like, that's what he does. He shows up in the first 10 minutes as like the little mini boss, gets his ass handed to him, and then he bounces. But it was good to see him back, and that was a sick action sequence.
Yeah, it was a great call. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, and when you have anything in containing, like with the Winter Soldier as a focus, as part of the storyline thread, I think everybody's going to reflect back to Captain America Winter Soldier and how that was just a straight up Tom Clancy novel put into Marvel Comics. Like, if you're a fan of Tom Clancy books or games, like Splinter Cell and all that, Rainbow Six, you have a good idea of what Tom Clancy really puts out. And this seemed from beginning to end like a straight up Tom Clancy variation of a Marvel comic series. Now, the big question is, will the consistency remain with episode 2? Because everybody knows whenever you put out a pilot for any episode, the first episode usually has the most amount of production value. and that's great.
Yeah, Arrow episode 1. Go back and watch that shit. That was dope. He did things in that episode he never did in 10 seasons.
Never did again for the next 4 seasons of his series. Yeah. And that's the thing with this. I loved the first episode. That first action scene, even the follow-up emotional engagement scenes with Bucky, all great writing, great scenes, great cinematography. However, now we're coming into the mindset where, okay, we're expecting episode 2 to follow. Is it going to be at the same caliber as episode 1? And that's the big question. I mean, I loved episode 1 of WandaVision. Mind you, I have to agree. I think episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was just a bit more on the production value. However, the consistency, it has to be consistent. Is episode 2 going to be on the same caliber of quality? Maybe not in so much action, but quality.
Jay, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that I was going to talk about is, how the callback to the Winter Soldier, that we get at the beginning of the beginning of the show is great. You were able to see, in Winter Soldier, see Captain America on his first mission almost by himself. And then, this time we see Sam on his first mission pretty much by himself. And, you see how they overcome all the obstacles again against the same baddie. So, it was really cool to see that callback. And then now I'm really excited to learn more about Bucky. I mean, he's the relationships that he has started to build through his years being back from all of his battles. I'm really looking forward.
It's kind of like an AA situation where he's trying to make amends with people he's done wrong to.
I was thinking my name is Earl, even down to the list. My name is Bucky is what's gonna happen.
I'm no longer the Winter Soldier. I just want you to know I'm sorry for doing you wrong.
Yeah. That wouldn't be the worst thing.
That's going to be an interesting journey for Bucky to see him more on the level of making amends and peacekeeping, whereas Sam has always been the common sense between two parties. He's always been the peacemaker. So now we're seeing Sam being more abrasive and more in the moment and militaristic, and we're seeing Bucky working towards keeping his court-ordered therapy visits and amendments with everything he's done wrong in the past kept up with what he's doing in the show. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys saw the A-Team movie, but where Barabbas is trying to make amends because now he's clean, he's not violent anymore. That's the same kind of situation that I see with this.
Skip, is this show going to be taking homage to a particular comic book line, or is this all original story?
It remains to be seen. I mean, there are there's and that's kind of how Marvel usually does it. Like, they don't necessarily particularly follow an exact storyline, to the S, let alone the T, but they take beats. They're like a hip hop producer, from the 90s. They sample a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of James Brown, a little bit of Miles Davis, a little bit of Coltrane, and mix it all together. So, we see John Walker got introduced, the new. When we saw that from the trailer, so that's not a big surprise. But John Walker got introduced as the new Captain America, who in the comics first gets introduced as U.S. agent. Yep. We saw the Flag Smashers, which that's another villain of its own, but it seems like they've dispersed it and kind of turned it into a group, which is cool. There is a Falcon and Winter Soldier comic line. I did not read that one, so I'm not sure how close they'll follow it, but I think they're taking more of the theme from the comics and probably not following it too closely, and which is really part of the genius of Kevin Feige. And I always tell this to people: we kind of get in our nerd bubble and think, oh, they got to do this, they got to do that. We see this Easter egg, so that means they're probably going to follow this. But the people that uphold fandoms, the people that uphold communities or properties that we enjoy are the normies. If you don't have a healthy heap of normies interested in things, then you're not going to get enough money to to support it. So they do the Easter eggs for us nerds who sit up here, at least once a week, if not 3 times a week for some of us, and talk about this stuff. And then but on the flip side, since they don't follow exact storylines, it allows us to be surprised by the outcome, because otherwise we could all just go read this or read that, or read it, and then be like, oh, we know exactly what's going to happen. And how fun is that?
Yeah.
And it also goes to show like what the level of exposure Marvel and Disney are allowing their creators and their directors to really kind of, expose to the audiences. Because if you take into consideration everything that happened with WandaVision, we as a fan base like just completely theorized to the moon everything and all things in hopes that, oh, we're going to see this at the end. We're going to see that at the end. We're going to see these things. We're going to see those things. We're expecting this big bombastic thing. And even the creator, the showrunner of WandaVision was like, I feel bad because people are making these assumptions of this is how the series is going to end, and they're going to be disappointed. That's what the showrunner said. So
the U.S. agent will be Mephisto. Mephisto,
I'm calling it right now. But yeah, what Skip was talking about, like, you have the introduction of U.S. Agent, which means we may have the introduction of like Super Patriot, and all these different elements, and people talking about, well, when are the mutants going to get introduced, and all these conversations, and everybody's expecting it to be introduced into the series of now. That I think we as the more higher tiered fandom, people who are in the know, we think ourselves into this like niche bubble where we're like, oh, well, you know what, this nod that he did in this direction with his hand, and he did this is from the comic series from 1969 episode, series issue number 22, when he does this and that. And I think we have to take a second here to realize what is the expectation that Disney is putting on their creators. And what are they willing to give us? Because if they're not willing to say, hey, we're not actually going to put any mutants in the series, you're going to have to wait for the movies. Or we're not actually going to show you anything massive in terms of villain, because those villains are going to come in the films. Like, because they're not telling us that, we're free to like let our minds roam like crazy. But,
Yeah, that's one thing. That's a new way to think of it too. Like, how much of the universe are they willing to truly change? Because, one thought I saw is that I read somewhere was, they can't really change too much because people who just watched Endgame kind of have to, they can't do too much to Wanda or whatever before they get there. They have to justify it somehow, or they will. And then you just go back and watch WandaVision to get little details of it, but her arc will make sense to people who didn't watch WandaVision still, whether they have to recap some of it or something. They have to bridge that gap for the normies.
Yeah. And they just required the rights, to the mutants. I mean, these shows were probably written and conceived, all the concepts were all taken care of before, they even got these rights. So I don't see any type of mutants showing up for at least another couple of years.
Well, and mind you, there was this leak not too long ago, and I'm not going to go into details because I didn't really read the full thing, but there's apparently this leak from somebody who was credible from his leaks that he gave for WandaVision, saying they're going to try to introduce the mutants in some form or fashion in this year, 2021. However, unless they're going to do it in a film, I don't believe that the shows, if WandaVision taught us anything, it's that WandaVision is going to rely on the extreme fans to hype them up. So we as a fan base have to kind of regulate ourselves and say, okay, first off, this is a TV series. So let's look at that first in the lens of a TV series. And secondly, we have to recognize what is the full spread of what they're willing to give us. And if they're just trying to make it work within their own, bubble of a series, like if you look at WandaVision, the very last episode was titled Series Finale, which means that's probably going to be the last one in that WandaVision series.
Yeah.
So that's the brunt of everything they're going to expose through that lens. So we just have to be mindful of how we theorize and how we hypothesize about, okay, with, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're going to bring this in, they're going to do this and that. We got to take a pause because of the fact that Marvel's that way with their with their TV series, and we just have to take our time with coming up with things. Kind of like what Skip was saying. Yeah, they're introducing this, and this may lead to that, but it is a TV series. This is something that is available on their Disney Plus platform. If they're going to really give you something to chew on, they're going to make you pay for it. That's the way the House of Mouse works.
Yep. It's 6 episodes, this one. WandaVision, I think, was a bit more, right? I think we got like 9 episodes, so this is...
Episodes are longer, too.
Okay, so we get the same amount of storytelling. I wonder why they would have done that. Just to line it up with Loki better, or 6 episodes? Are we going to get gypped here?
Maybe.
Why are we even thinking like that? When's the last time the MCU gypped you?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I
think that's the thing. It's funny because we say we want consistency, and then when someone gives it to us, the only thing that we can think of is when are they going to fail? It's like
they have to
expect the greatness. I mean, yeah, eventually, but why are we looking forward to that? Like now you take that into the show viewing experience, waiting for them to fail you instead of sitting up there and just appreciating what they're showing you. And hey, and if and when they do, because Kevin Feige, I mean, if you don't count WandaVision, what is it, like 24 movies? Like 24 movies. And they've been bringing the heat. Like what you can't name another film producer right now that has been that consistent in the history of cinema. You can't name one.
Yeah.
Imagine if the Kings my Kings went back to 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 back to, like, bro, just everybody just needs to kick up their feet and enjoy the show. The way I look at it is, look, like if it's 50 minutes, I'm looking at it like this: we get a 6-hour movie.
Yeah.
Like if you watch WandaVision together, it kind of totaled up to be about the length of a Marvel movie, because I ended up, like, after I watched all of them individually, I binged it like 2 times, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, but the sitting was like about the length of a Marvel movie, but this is like a 6-hour movie, so we're actually getting more with this. So there's no gypping. We're getting more than we did with WandaVision, and I didn't feel gypped with that.
I think the expectation, though, yes, I agree with you, Skip. I think exactly, like with everything that Marvel has put out, there's a level of expertise and just high quality content put out by Marvel to the nth degree that nobody has come to, even come close to. However, I think with that expectation, though, as well, I think people who are having that expectation of, all right, this movie did this and it blew me away, and then this movie did this and it blew me away. And I think for the layman, and this is for the layman, this is for the everyman, if you're somebody who's used to seeing Marvel blow them out of the water, because every time there's a piece coming out and people are like hypothesizing or whatever, that it creates this expectation of, oh, well, this is going to do something completely crazy. It's going to do this. And then it literally comes like one iota short of it. I think the mass amount of people come to this expectation of, oh, well, it failed. It didn't do it. It completely didn't do it for me.
It's crazy. It's extreme.
We saw people do that with WandaVision already. Like, people didn't get the things that they wanted to happen in there, and then they flipped out. All we got, that was the reveal. There was no one pulling Agatha's strings, then so there was that people out there who do say that.
I think, though, it jumps back to us as content creators, as podcasters, as people who have a voice. It just comes back to us to be like, hey, this is Marvel doing what they can for TV series, and it's still quality content. Hey, don't diss it here because of the fact that there's still more and more and more content that they're going to be providing for fans who are, maybe those fans who aren't fully educated in the whole Wanda and Vision dynamic, or people who aren't fully understood of like how at some point in time in the Marvel comic universe, Falcon turns into Captain America, but nobody knows that. They're aware that it happened, but how is the part that's kind of like tripping people out, and they don't know, so they're expecting, oh, it's going to happen in this show because he has the shield and we saw it in the trailers. Like, we as content creators, we have to regulate them folk who come through and be like, oh, well, you know what, I heard this and that said on this show or that podcast, and so this has to be like, oh, it has to be show me what exactly I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going back to that normies thing, because it kind of hit me with that. You know, at the end of this, of course, Falcon's going to become Captain America, and that would totally make sense if the last thing you saw was Endgame, because you know he gives him the shield and says it's yours, and then you know you go to sleep and wake up in the next movie, it's like, oh, he got the shield from him, so then you know, but you don't know that he gave it up, and get to see all the fun hijinks we're going to get to experience. So, Skip, I remember you brought this up with WandaVision, so I want to turn the table on you and ask, what do you want to see most out of this series?
The thing that I want to see the most out of the series, honestly, is character development. Because both of these characters, they were not main characters. They were side dishes to the entree. But they themselves have very interesting histories. You know, like Sam Wilson has actually been by Captain America's side continuity wise longer than the Winter Soldier. I mean, Bucky Barnes as a character, period. Because Bucky Barnes went away for decades, and then Edward Baker brought him back in the form of the Winter Soldier. So I would like to see him be given more time. And already I'm very pleased with what I've seen in the way that they've decided to use him, and that's only going to go further. And then Bucky Barnes himself, like the Winter Soldier, Edward Baker is one of my favorite writers in comics, and the Winter Soldier is one of my favorite concepts and ways that a character has been brought back from the past. So to give Bucky some room to breathe, I said on a review that I'd done earlier, I love the fact that we've seen Steve Rogers battle with being a man at a time, and they're best friends. And part of what made him go after Bucky so much was his friendship. But in a place where Steve felt completely out of place, Bucky made him feel like home. He was a little slice of home. And then I like on the flip side, on Sam Wilson's side, on Falcon's side, as he was out of time, that's the first person that we see him meet in the Winter Soldier movie, and him being a soldier and whatnot. Sam Wilson on the future side of things, or the present day side of things, made Captain America feel more at home. You know, like, it's your pillow, right? It's too soft.
Yeah.
You go out, you're out in the field and you sleep on rocks, and when you get home, you can't sleep, and then offered him, to come down to the VA and all that stuff. So both of them were placed so perfectly for Captain America, who's my favorite character in the MCU since I've been a kid. That hasn't changed at all. It's only grown stronger. So I really like that both of these characters in their own right are going to get that. And Bucky is going to get it where Cap would literally be the perfect person to help him cope with being a man at a time, and he's not there.
Yep.
Damn.
And that begs to ask the question, who is going to take up that mantle in this series, and who is going to carry the heart of it? Because yes, we had that great spoiler alert, we have that great ending of how that episode goes, and everybody feels for Sam, but then at the same time we know who carries that true symbol of what Captain America stood for. And that's where the true meat of this story is going to lay, because we know where Sam Wilson's story goes. We know how his story progresses in the comics. It's that connect with that bridge to from the comics to the small screen, if you will, and where that completely begins to build this story.
Jay, what do you want to see through this series? What are you most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I'm there for the ride, man. I love these characters. I love the actors. I mean, Sebastian Stan has put on so many great roles, and then now we finally get him to be Bucky Barnes. He's not just a backside character that's there just for just for laughs, like in Civil War with him. Now we get to see him do some serious acting with this character, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then Sam Wilson as well. It's all about character development for me. I'm secretly hoping that this turns into a West Coast Avengers type thing. I don't think it will, but it'll be great. I mean, we got Vision already. We're getting Hawkeye. We get U.S. Agent. I don't know. It'd be cool to see it. I highly doubt we'll see that, but I'm there to see it all.
Well, and we haven't really gotten the opportunity to introduce Agent 13 into this mix, but we know she's in this series. So there's a lot of different roads where this series could go, But I guess the biggest question I have is, what is the most craziest thing you could expect at the end of the series? And honestly, for me, I would love to see, and I know it was kind of foretold in Winter Soldier, but I would love to see Bucky take up the mantle. You know, even for a little bit, just to carry that shield. Sam Wilson has always been an independent individual, and I think he's going to work great as an individual. He's going to try to fill a space, but it's going to come to a point to where he's going to see that he himself stands as a monument, if you will, to what Captain America stood for, acting as his own person. So I would love to see how this whole thing ends with Bucky taking the mantle.
I don't know. I don't know if it could go that way. What do you think of that, Skip?
I mean, you know, to IJU Robot's point in the chat, the mantle has had many carriers, which I'm not really particularly a big fan of that concept. There's times when it works, and those times are few. I mean, obviously it happens in the comics, so I think it's even easy for me to kind of, you know, like want that. And I did read a fairly decent run from Reminder, I think, who actually was the first person to write Falcon as the new Captain America, and then Nick Spencer, I believe, came after him, and I read part of that one too. I'll be honest, I'm not so into the idea. I would much rather prefer that. I did like the trial. Don't get me wrong, Every Baker with the trial of Captain America and Bucky and all that stuff. I was with it, but I'm not so hot to see it happen in the show. I think more than anything, it's important to just get the shield back into a place where it belongs, and at this point, let Cap, you know, rest, because, you know, to Bucky's point, he went from fight to fight to fight and had a little sliver. I love that little Easter egg, a little sliver of peace in Wakanda, as the White Wolf, might I add, another little Easter egg. But I'm not, and the concept art for Bucky as the White Wolf, if none of y'all have seen that, that is, outside of Edgar Wright being the one to do Ant-Man, that's the one thing that I wish I would have gotten in the MCU, is to see that uniform on Bucky as the winner. As the White Wolf, as he was in Wakanda. But no, I'm not so hot for it, man. I just want to see the shield get returned to the right place, you know, out of the hands of manipulators, and back to people that really care for it. And kind of, like I said, let Steve, you know, rest in peace. He's in a better place now. Wherever he is, he's with Peggy, getting that dance. Let Steve have that dance, man. Let him dance in peace. All right, DIP. All right.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they said they pretty much confirmed that the actor who did Captain America is not coming back for anything. I don't know. I mean, anything could happen for a price, I'm sure, like for cameos.
You talking about Chris Evans?
Chris Evans, yeah. Maybe he'll show up as a spirit ghost or something.
He's got a contract for 3 more movies to be just as appearances, but not anything like solid for his own films. Which
I think is good. I think they have him and Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. stay away. You know, I think they told their stories and it's time for new characters. So it's awesome. It was a really good episode. I was worried about not liking it because, you know, I like the Thors and the, you know, magic in the world and the hammers and the electricity and all that, and but this kept me super entertained. I like to see GSP throwing down and getting work still as an actor, so that was fun. It'll be awesome. It'll be a really good show. So last but definitely not least, let's see what's going on in Curtis's comic book corner. What you been reading?
I've been reading a lot, but I ain't got that set up for right now. I mean, did
I catch you? Let's just go freestyle. Skip.
Freestyle.
Keep you on your toes.
All right. That's where I live. I live on my toes. Let me just look at what I've been reading, because if I look at my stack, I'm not gonna see nothing. You know, I've been on the Darwin Cook kick lately, so I'm gonna shout out a few books from Darwin Cook. I'm late to the game on the New Frontier that he did for DC. So, I mean, just out the gate, anybody that enjoys classic DC, I don't think I'm reading any current DC. I think I'm reading one current Marvel book. I don't even remember what it is. Oh, I'm reading actually U.S. Agent, only because the indelible Christopher Priest is writing it. That's the only saving grace. But Darwin Cook himself, I'm reading that. I'm also reading Selena's Big Score, which came out after Darwin Cook and Ed Brubaker's Catwoman run, but it is a prequel, so I'm reading that right now. And I did just order. Actually, it just came in. I don't know. All right. See, I mean, Cory is he hit me on the spot, so I'm gonna run and gun. All right.
What?
This one is for the like. Hey, if you're not tuning in live,
what are you doing
on twitch.tv/videogame_bang?
What are you doing?
You're missing things like this. I got the Parker Martini Edition, big body. I call it Beyonce, big body book. Yo, this thing.
What is
huge.
that?
The Parker series is an incredible series. Again, I'm late to the game, but I'm snatching up everything that is Darwin Cook right now. Rest in peace to Darwin Cook. One of my favorite creators at this point now in comics of all time. But yeah, like, you know, if you're into noir crime stories, the Parker series is a heck of a run. And he didn't get to finish it, unfortunately, because of his untimely passing. But the art, he comes from a graphic design background. He also helped in the field of animation. I don't think it was a Batman the Animated Series, but the one that came right after. So he's got that swag and that style of art with some nice clean graphic design, really cool lettering and simplified colors. And it's one of those stories where like you read it and then like hold on, wait, I read that damn much of this book already?
Wow.
Like, and I'm not even tired of it. So yeah, mess with Darwin Cook. Check out if you're into DC, check out this Final Frontier, and Selena's Big Score and the Catwoman run that he did with Ed Brubaker, and then definitely check out his Parker book if you want some more like kind of adult style content.
Yeah, I've always called the Parker book. I've always called that the Thinking Man's Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, look at Cory and his little continuity. We got a little inside thing that happened. BVGB before VGB. So I'm picking up what you're putting out, Cory. I'm picking up what you're putting out. Yeah,
Tell us where people can keep up to date with the Key Company and all the fun things you're doing, Jay.
Yeah, so on Twitter, it is thekey.co. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Hold on. Yeah, so it's at the Key Company.
Okay.
So Key Company, you'll be able to see all the products that they have in stock with their new linear and tactical switches on the top of their group buys for some new really nice looking retro kits, as well as keyboard group buys as well.
And last but not least, Eddie, Filmlospher Eddie. Where can people watch the Filmlospers, listen to the Filmlospers, and see you on the new Rockstars?
Yeah, you can check us out on all the varying social media posts, such as facebook.com/Filmlospers, and on Twitter and Instagram at Filmlosophy101. We'll have every new episode drops Wednesday morning, and you will be able to catch me on New Rockstars this Thursday, probably around noon. I'll drop the link on our Twitter page, so if you want to be up to date on that, go ahead and click and follow us on there, and we'll get you all the deets.
Alrighty, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. For Jay Gist, Filmlospher Eddie, Skip, my name is Cory saying, you've just been banged.